So I was sitting here thinking to myself, what's the best game that I've played this year? And the obvious answer that kept coming up is Elden Ring. And so then I thought, okay, outside of Elden Ring, what's my top 5 games this year? And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about in this video. The top 5 games that I've played this year. So let's hop right into it. And before I really hop into this list, I want to just point out that when I say my favorite games this year, doesn't mean they were released this year. A lot of them were, but there are some in here that were released previously that I just got around to playing this year and I genuinely enjoyed. So with that being said, let's hop right into the list. And speaking of games that weren't released in 2022, I kind of want to start the video with one, and that is Death Stranding. And for me personally, it's just kind of wild because I was under the impression that Death Stranding was just this weird, obscure walking simulator. And don't get me wrong, you're going to do a lot of walking in this game. Most of the game is you going from point A to point B. But it's what happens between point A and point B that makes this game so interesting to me. I mean, for starters, I did not realize there was combat in this game, and not only is there combat in this game, but there's actually some pretty damn good combat in this game. And let me be clear, when I say that there's some pretty good combat sequences in this game, I mean that there's some sequences in this game that I'm not likely to forget anytime soon. And that's not even taking into account the story aspect of this game, because the story is completely batshit insane in what might be the best possible way. It's a game that just contradicts itself in the sense that it's serious, but it doesn't really take itself to be serious, which is kind of refreshing, to be honest. It's a game that almost certainly isn't for everybody, but I would definitely recommend it. If you got a PS5, a PS4, if you're on PC and you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. And if you're on PC, it is in PC Game Pass. And speaking of that, shout out to Game Pass for PC for giving me the kick in the ass that I needed to finally try this game. I mean, I already owned the game on my PS5. I bought the director's cut not too long after it released back in June. I just never tried it. And since it came to PC Game Pass, I kind of figured, well, my PC is more powerful than my PS5, so I might as well check it out on there. And I'm super happy that that was the case because I really did love this game, and I'm still actually working on beating it. I'm towards the end of it, but man, I love this game, and it's so interesting to see Xbox achievements pop up on a PlayStation game. And then I've got one more game that technically wasn't released this year, and that game is Deathloop. And if you follow this channel for any sort of time at all, you will know that I'm a huge Arcane fanboy, and in fact, the Dishonored series is my third favorite gaming series, only behind Halo and Uncharted. And in my opinion, Deathloop is just a more action-oriented Dishonored, whereas in Dishonored, they kind of encourage you to play more stealth, although you could play loud, but they encourage you to play stealth, and in Deathloop, they kind of do the opposite. They encourage you to play loud, but you can also play stealth. It's one of those games that you might start out playing stealth, but then once you really get the hang of it, you can really start to play it like a true first-person shooter. And outside of just the general gameplay, the writing in this game is top tier. I mean, truly top tier. Colt and Juliana are some of the best characters that I've seen in a video game in like the last decade. And that's the reason that the writing is so top tier. It's not because the story is going to blow you away on the level of something like Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not going to do that. What makes it so good is how the characters are written. The way that Juliana and Colt interact with each other, their banter back and forth, is really what takes the game to a different level. You always have this banter going on that makes it just so much more entertaining. And let's just put it this way, this game is so good that I bought it on PS5 at launch last year, and then I bought it again on PC, and then I bought it day one on Xbox because I just love it that much. And I finally beat it on Xbox because I didn't want to beat it anywhere else before Xbox. And because I waited to beat it on everything else, now I'm playing through it again on PlayStation and then on my PC. And up next, we're going to be headed into the list of games that actually released this year. And up first on that list is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. If there was ever a developer that I trust implicitly with Call of Duty, it is Infinity Ward, and Modern Warfare 2 is the exact reason why. First of all, the game is so much of what I loved about Modern Warfare 2019 made better. Of course, they did change some things that people have problems with, but they made it better, at least in my opinion. They finally brought back the third-person game modes in the multiplayer, which is so much fun. It was my favorite thing from the original Modern Warfare 2. I know people didn't really care for it back then, but I was playing that all the time, man. Also, thank God we finally have a Modern Warfare game on console that has an FOV slider. I know it's one of those things I take for granted in most FPS games nowadays, but Modern Warfare 2019 didn't have one, and I really wanted one in that game. So to see it in this game now just makes it feel so much better to play. And just to put into perspective how much I'm enjoying this multiplayer in Modern Warfare 2, I'm already a higher level in this game than I am in Vanguard, and Vanguard's been out almost a year at this point. And I'm only talking about multiplayer right now. I haven't even mentioned the campaign, which I loved, by the way. I really love this campaign. I know people had some problems with it, but for me personally, the problems that people had with this campaign are the exact reason why I liked it. I heard some complaints that it was too slow. It wasn't your classic run and gun Call of Duty game, or at least, you know, the ones that we've gotten used to over the last decade. And that's exactly why I like this Call of Duty so much. Instead of that classic turn your brain off, run forward and shoot enemies like in past Call of Duties, there was a lot of stealth, there was a lot of breaching buildings, there was a lot of being in sync with your teammates. It's a really well done campaign in my opinion. They just kind of slowed it down and focused more on the tactical aspect of what would make a military shooter. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say that the game is all slow paced, because there's definitely some over the top Call of Duty moments in this game that are done super well. So if you're someone who's been on the fence about Call of Duty in the past decade or so, well then I would definitely say you should hop in on this one. Maybe get it on sale if that's your thing. But for me personally, this is my favorite Call of Duty since the original Black Ops. And then up next, I want to talk about a game that I feel is criminally slept on, and that is Dying Light 2. And here's the thing, the game isn't slept on because it's bad or anything. Most people that play it kind of acknowledge that it's a pretty damn good game. The problem is that it made the fatal mistake of coming out in February of 2022. And if you've been keeping up with gaming at all this past year, then you know anything that released in February 2022 got overshadowed no matter how good it was, and that was because of Elden Ring. And now I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Dying Light 2 is better than Elden Ring, because it's not. I mean, Elden Ring's my game of the year by a good mile at this point. But man, Dying Light 2 was really damn good. The story was such a step up from the first game story, because the first game kind of had this like cheesy, typical zombie story. This one's actually a pretty damn good story. And not only did the story take a huge step forward, but the parkour system in this game took a massive leap forward over the first game. It just feels so smooth running through this city. And not just the story and the parkour, but also the melee combat. It feels incredible in this game. There's so many examples of games that don't do melee combat very well, and this is definitely not one of them. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to their dev team for something that might be considered pretty obscure, but the way that they captured heights in this game is so damn good. Because I'm someone who's not particularly afraid of heights. I don't really have a fear of heights in real life, but in this game, there were multiple times where I was standing on top of a skyscraper and I would look down and my feet would begin to tingle. And it was happening often enough that I decided to look it up for myself on the internet. And what I found out is that people's feet, when they're afraid of heights, begin to tingle because it's a fight or flight response. It's just a shot of adrenaline in your body. And keep in mind, I don't really have a fear of heights like that, or at least not more than any other average person. I've been on the edge of cliffs before in real life, and it doesn't really affect me at all. But for some reason, somehow in this game, it affected me. So like I said, shout out to the dev team over at Techland for making me experience what it's like to have a fear of heights. And then my fifth and final game on this list is going to be A Plague Tale Requiem. And guys, I really can't say enough good things about this game. I've already beat it on Xbox, I'm going to play through it again on PC, and then honestly, I'm probably going to buy it on PlayStation and beat it there as well. This is one of those games that I can easily recommend to just about anyone. The story is just so worth experiencing. And if you've got Xbox Game Pass, then there's really no reason to not at least give it a shot. You can even try it through the cloud if you're not sure about installing it. I mean, the story in this game is just amazing. And on top of that, the gameplay is amazing as well, or at least it is in my opinion. I mean, they finally added real combat to the game. Amicia has a sling like you've gotten used to in the first game. Then she has a crossbow, which is new. And then she can pick up knives now and stab people. It's incredible. And surprisingly, it's also a pretty beefy story. I mean, I remember the first game not taking me that long to beat, but this game actually took me about a good 20 hours to finish. And of course, I'm not going to be giving any spoilers in this video, but I remember after beating that game, I just kind of sat there for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and just kind of reevaluated things. It's one of those stories that is told so well that when it actually comes to an end, you just kind of sit there and think, damn, I can't believe that actually just happened. But that is the top 5 games that I played this year that are not Elden Ring. Let me know what you thought of the list down below. Let me know what your top 5 games you played this year are. It doesn't have to be games released in 2022. It can just be games you finally got around to playing this year, or it can be new games, whichever one you want to pick. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your top 5 are. Leave a like if you like the video. And please remember to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell if you're enjoying the content and want to stay up to date on all of it going forward. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.